Cannabis, marijuana, taking over the pharmaceutical industry? You know what? Maybe it's something we should look a little closer at. When marijuana, cannabis, was legalized, it began a process in these states like California, Colorado, etc. Now, not something of my choice. I do believe in freedom of choice. I do believe that there are dangers there, especially for youth. We know that scientifically. However, there are some additional values as well. There becomes that mix. Is it something should be legal? Not legal. I will say this. I do feel that the cannabis industry legalizing just for medicinal purposes, then recreational. Now, the medicinal. If you go into a dispensary, you can look at, I've gone in and talked recently to these young kids at the dispensaries. These kids are sharp. They're on top of things. But everything's broken down as if you're talking to a pharmacist at a dispensary. Think about that. I want to talk about that more in DeFi IoT. So here's the thing. I heard recently, I can't remember the woman's name. I'll look for the links. I can put it down below so I can find that again. Really, she documented her research. She herself advocated for the use of cannabis. But like she was stating that back in the 60s and 70s, when you had like the marijuana movement, what you had in the actual THC in the marijuana was a lot less than what you have now. You walk into a dispensary today and you got these grades of THC as well as other factors that are broken out to grade the marijuana. Now, some of it's chemical, some of it's chemical induced, some of it's induced while it's growing. You know, there's a mixture of things there that can lead one to think that since the marijuana industry now is legalized in these certain states, what stops them from taking that even further in the medicinal area? And it might actually be a good thing. The downside is, though, many see it as a gateway drug, and I happen to agree with that. You don't have to agree. You can put your comments down below. Let me know what you think. But be honest about it. Not just come biased because you like to consume it. I'm not bagging on you for that. I'm not saying I was a saint when I was younger. However, the fact is, when you walk into these dispensaries, these young kids, they are on their game. And I feel like when I go in there, I ask questions. I was going to say, I'm an old guy. I haven't, consumed any of this in years. So what would you recommend to me? Well, what would you like? What would you need? What are your conditions? Why are you seeking this? And they go through this process. Then they prescribe to you or suggest to you, you can get whatever you want to, obviously. They suggest to you what you need to medicate your problem. What I heard in this argument by an expert was that where they've gone with this now, since it's legalized, is the medicinal aspect of it, as well as the amount of THC that's in each dose now has risen dramatically. So it becomes to a point where it becomes harmful and dangerous, especially in minds that are younger than 30 years of age. And this is something we not got to consider and think about. We could advocate for legalizing because it's freedom, it's free agency, okay? It's natural, okay? Like wine, I guess you could argue that. But by the same token, when you do legalize things, it also makes it seem as though it's a gateway. And the government definitely is making money off of this. I've watched these people go in these dispensaries and I was talking to these kids and filling them out and getting ideas of how things work. It's a great money industry for the state. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, because right now it seems like we've lowered our morals completely. But I'm not here to argue whether it should be legalized or not legalized. I'm here to just make a statement that I can see with the door that's been opened, kind of like the Indian casinos. You can't have casinos in certain states, but yet the Indians on Indian land can have casinos. And now California's floated a casino. Then where do you go? They go back and find land that was somehow they can say that, well, we proved that was, great-great-grandfather George Moonwalker. No disrespect to the natives. I live with them, my best friends. I work with them now. But my point being, it's that door that's opened, then it's like the the goose is loose, right? And that's what we got to be careful of. And so, in summary, what do you think? Can cannabis, honestly, can cannabis take over pharmaceutical? We know pharmaceutical, well, a lot of the drugs they give us are just fake. A lot of them are psychological. They're just psychologically, and they play psychological effects with us. A lot of these drugs are. Do your research. You can find out for yourself. Give me some comments below. And we know that the cannabis does have medicinal purposes. So where are they going to go with this? Is cannabis a good alternative in your mind to other type of different types of antidepressants and so forth? There's a whole list you can go down that we know have real bad side effects. Is cannabis for somebody of the mind of the age of 30 and older, is it something that you feel is a good thing, or is something that actually should not be legalized, or we should be careful of? Put your comments down below. DeFi IoT. I want to hear your comments on this one. Thanks. See you in the next video.